always fun, crazy. It's painful, but it's wonderful. What is the name?
It's Royce Unchained.
So what happened? What in God's green earth happened to our Vikings last night in Detroit?
I was going to say, where did that come from? That was, the first half. First three quarters, the defense played wonderful against a very explosive offense. They made Jared Goff look very uncomfortable. This guy's had one of the most phenomenal seasons ever for them. But I don't know. It's easy to blame it all on Sam. You certainly can blame quite a bit of it on him, but the offensive line was not good. The receivers were not good. Addison makes one catch for 3 yards? What was that? Who was covering him?
One catch for no yards.
No yards.
He gained nothing on that catch, and that was his entire night.
I mean, and he's the guy and so basically they got away with singling Jefferson most of the evening, not all the evening, but most of the evening. How did that happen? Now they let them rough up the receivers some, which I like, because they let our boys rough up their receivers too. St. Brown and those fellas didn't get loose either. Yep. So it was fine, but it was just incredible that they could play like that. It was just awful. And it was fun though reading the post-game, pre-game tweets last night. I think one of my favorite I noticed this morning was there was one guy who tweeted out, I retweeted this, "No matter what happens today, I'm going to be immensely proud of this team. I'm extremely proud." Then he had about 6 tweets ripping the hell out of him after the game.
Started to drink some beers.
Yeah, right. And then Kwesi's pregamer was a beauty. Did you see the one on the Viking? What it means to be a Viking?
No.
This long thing about basically our stout spirit is responsible for Western civilization was basically the thing. He set himself up to be a fool with that tweet too. It was this long, extended tweet about what it meant to be a Viking and the fighting spirit and all that stuff. The coach was a little rattled post-game, too. He hasn't talked yet today, right?
No, he is not. His
quotes was stumbling and mumbling and didn't really know what to say and was hinting that Sam had a lot of opportunities. I'm not sure he certainly didn't have his usual opportunities. And Jefferson didn't have a good game either. How often was he wide open? Once or twice? I don't know.
Well, and he there was a poorly thrown ball in the back of the end zone for Jefferson.
But he should have
ordinarily catches.
Yes.
And just a flat-out drop as well. But, I mean, Darnold was airmailing the ball to start the game. Yeah. There were some passes that no one had a chance at.
I've been having thoughts about what happened, and it's like, in this holiday season, he was visited Sunday evening by the ghost of Sam Past and started, had a restless evening of sleep or something. He had a look at his eye like this was not, it was a very strange. I'll tell you what, though, it might be bad for Coach Campbell, though. He might lose. The coach in Detroit. He might lose both his offensive coordinator and his defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, after that performance last night. He had him ready to play. And I thought it was funny. I mean, so did the TV announcers that, the next to the last possession, he was sitting over there on the bench, relaxed at Glenn about 8 minutes to go in the game.
His job was done.
He knew that he had come up with quite the scheme. What is he, early 40s maybe? When did he play?
He was a defensive back. Yeah,
he was a very good defensive back, I think. Yeah.
40s perhaps. But yeah, that was a great scheme. And I mean, again, that defense, Pat, is missing at least 12 guys. So that was not Hutchinson and a bunch of their.
Can you imagine when you imagine the Hutchinson free runs to the quarterback he would have had if he would have been playing this game? Because that guy's a monster. I love him.
But they beat Sam up too. They followed through on their hits.
Oh, they hit him all. Yeah, they hit him. And give them credit, they didn't hit him high. They didn't get a roughing all night, did they?
Nope.
They hit him in the chest, and
Nope, they just hit him.
They were extremely well coached last night. That one.
Aaron Glenn's 52. I was wrong.
And, 50? Is he really?
He's 52 years old, born in 72.
Wow. He was he the Falcons for a while? I can't remember where he played. He was a good hire by the coach. So I mean, I couldn't be more more surprised to see this wacky, crazy coach do this well with a traditionally awful franchise. It's incredible. And so, do we now wonder about the Vikings? Wonder how they got to win 14 wins? Are there big question marks here, or was it a one-off? What was it?
I think it depends on where we look. I think the performance by the quarterback is an eye-opener, don't you?
Yes.
Because he looked like he didn't just have a bad night. He looked like the whole scope of the game got to him.
Yes. Once he started getting smacked.
Yeah.
In the huddle.
But I don't think it's a total fluke. I mean, I think they still have some really nice parts, but the Darnold thing to me has always been a how far can he take this?
Yeah, to some. I mean, he was becoming very convincing, though. Like the throws, some of the throws he made out of the pocket and to win games, and the long throw a couple of weeks ago that he made when they were going to get beat, and he hit Jefferson down there right in the lap on that long pass. So I don't know. We can maybe just declare it a bad night for him. But I tell you one thing, I think it certainly takes away the possibility of franchising him, don't you? Unless they have a big playoff run now,
Probably.
And, because
you're not going to get a first.
No, you're not going to get you're not going to get a big first round pick for that, and you don't want to end up being on the hook for $40 million. So.
Whoops.
That's a lot of money. I don't know what happened, but I was there alone. I invited Mrs. Ricey to watch the game, but I said this is one of the biggest games the Vikings have had in years, and she said, I don't watch the Vikings. So I was down there alone and was very puzzled by. Even at halftime, it's what, 10-6? 10-6? I got to tell you, it's 7-6 after the Vikings kicked the field goal. Mm-hmm. I go upstairs to get a Diet Coke at the kitchen and mingle around a little bit. I come down and they're kicking a field goal. I said, what the hell happened here? I couldn't.
Kick went out of bounds by Reichert. Killed him.
He just went like that.
Put the ball to 40.
What? I know he's had a little injury. But he was the best kicker I ever saw in my life.
Well, that's gone right now.
Until he got hurt. And now he's got, kickers, man. They're like goaltenders. They can't be trusted. You never know. Something goes wrong and they start thinking.
Yep.
They start thinking. You don't want a kicker that thinks. You want a kicker that just sees the middle. I mean, when Gary Anderson missed his field goal, he missed it by 4 inches, okay? It wasn't some big shank. He just didn't kick it perfectly straight for the first time.
Yep.
This is. I wouldn't say that was a choke. That was just a little bit of a miss. Yesterday the kid, he made one, but he shanked it out of bounds, and then the last one was the 52-yarder was plenty of leg, but it was outside the goalpost from the get-go. It had no chance. So
yes.
I don't know, all around, stupendously rotten performance. The defense can be proud of itself for 3 quarters, and then they just collapsed. You can't hold that team. How good is that Gibbs? Oh man, is he good?
Yeah,
because he can catch it, run it. They got a lot of heat when they drafted him, right? 12th overall or something.
Yeah, because it was a high first round pick for that position, but he's such a versatile guy.
Yes.
Like he can do, to your point, so many different
things. Just
things.
Explosive. Mm-hmm. And, he can run tough. He can, you can give him the ball on 3rd and 2 and he'll make 4 yards. You'll get hit.
The Vikings need a guy who's similar.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
They, you know what is amazing though? How good Van Ginkel and Grenard and Cashman usually. I don't think he had one of his great nights. But how good those two guys that they got instead of Danielle Hunter are. Now, Turner did he play at all last? He didn't play much last night, or he didn't get many calls.
He didn't do many.
He wasn't in on any plays. Didn't play. But Van Ginkel and Grenard are just fantastic. And, they're both going to the Pro Bowl, right? Both of them? Or Grenard? Yeah.
Both of them are going to the Pro Bowl.
I mean, they kept them in the game. It could have been really ugly if the Detroit. That's as uncomfortable as I've seen Goff all year when I've watched him. I mean, he's had this incredible season. So
he threw two picks.
Yeah,
and Pace damn near scored on the one that he picked off after the tip ball and got to the Detroit 7-yard line.
I do believe the fans like to think they get robbed by the officials, and they've. I saw some stat where they've had second or third in the league in most first downs on penalties that they've not given up, but they've acquired. Mm-hmm. So they've done very well. But that was definitely grounding in the end zone and a safety, wasn't it? What was that? I mean,
that was yes.
Because the guys. Now I don't know what the rule is though, but the guy had his back to him, and
it hit a lineman.
He threw it. Yeah. They
not ineligible. So that
is that, and that's not reviewable. I guess probably it's just a judgment decision. Right?
Yes.
So
I think you're correct.
I don't know. So what do you think? What's the early number? Are they? Somebody said they're 1-point favorites or something.
Jacqueline told me they're favored.
Yeah,
against the Rams
surprised.
Monday night. Yeah.
They must. Stafford took the week off, right? Stafford took the week off, so
they didn't care about the game that they lost.
No. And but we were supposed to be going to Tampa, right? And then because they lost, they both ended up with the same record. And how did we end up playing them? I thought they won more games than Tampa had. Tampa only won 9, right? Didn't they win 9 or 10?
They might have the same record though, and then the tiebreaker. I don't know, but the Rams would probably not be a preferred opponent.
Now, if all the seeded teams win, the Vikings will be playing the Lions next 2 weeks, right?
Which is why Dan Campbell told O'Connell, "I'll see you in a couple of weeks."
Yeah,
which I guess O'Connell just said, "Yeah, thanks, bye."
Okay, didn't want to quip with him.
Didn't want to talk about it.
But either Washington's going to beat Tampa or who's overrated? The Eagles. I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Packers aren't playing great right now, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Packers beat the Eagles. If Jordan Love's healthy.
I keep saying the same thing. The Eagles just seem like such a weird team to me.
Yeah, they
do have talent.
They got a lot of players. They got Goddard back. That helps. The tight end missed half the season. He's a South Dakota State boy, I believe. He played at South Dakota State. So, and he's a big weapon.
And Saquon's incredible.
Yeah, that's true. And Hurts is he going to play or not? I mean, if Hurts doesn't play, then they're in trouble. So, but one of those teams are probably. But although Washington's not playing good right now with Daniel,
I don't think they're not good.
No, I don't either. Maybe do end up going back there. So, I don't know. I liked them to win in Detroit because I thought Detroit. It's the astounding thing is how bad Detroit's defense had been.
Yep.
And why did it work against this team? Why did that defense that has given up 35 a game for a month? How did they play that good? I don't understand.
My only guess is that they ratcheted up the physicality and took their chances. Because post game, Jefferson said they held me all the time and stuff, but in their defense, no pun intended, they had nothing to lose.
Yeah, I saw some of those routes. He was getting bumped a little, but he was not getting tackled.
But I think I think the fact that they were bound and determined to beat up Darnold was a really good game plan.
Yes,
I think it really, I think it threw him off, and once he's thrown off, his night was pretty much ruined.
Yes, well that is. I mean you look at some of the tapes of some of the two guys hitting him at once, and they were very smart. They weren't hitting him high. They were, they were hitting him between the shoulder pads and the belly, so you couldn't. They were extremely well prepared. There's no doubt about it. Now, of course, 2 weeks. Be tough to lose. You know what they say? It's tough to beat a team.
Mackey's been saying that all day. Yep.
Tough to beat a team 3 times, unless you're better than they are. So anyway, it was quite the thing. I was tempted to go to a sports bar and watch the game beforehand. And at halftime, I was really tempted to go, but I figured by the time I got there, the place would be empty. So.
Yeah, it's late Sunday night. Very depressing game.
People are depressed. Right. Yes, that's right. It was wonderful, though. The Twitter was wonderful with the people who turned on them like rattlesnakes. It was incredible.
What a cesspool! It's become like it's always been a cesspool. It's become a bigger cesspool now.
Oh God, yes, it is. How was Viking Vent Line? Where we didn't
relatively
get many
subdued.
Really, not many drunks.
No, not many drunks, and people were like that. That's the thing is, as disappointing as that was, are you really surprised that Darnold sort of collapsed? Because I wasn't that surprised really.
Well,
I mean, I didn't think it would be that bad.
I thought he'd be okay, but I can't put it all on him though. The offensive line had a terrible day. I thought the best. I mean, O'Neal did okay over on the left, but on the right side, but.
As Collinsworth said early on, and he's exactly right, it looked like Detroit was bound and determined to exploit the fact that Darnold holds the ball too long, which we've talked about all year long.
They had a stat that led to 3.5 seconds, which is by far the longest in the league.
So you're asking your line to do a really good job.
Yes. I thought Collinsworth was pretty good last night. I'm not the world's.
I did too.
There's games when he's not fully invested. I get the hunch sometimes, but he was pretty good last night. He actually showed you some. It wasn't all cliches. He showed you what they were doing and a few things.
And he didn't fawn. So. Like
no.
My thing is, if they get if he gets a Chiefs game, it is a Mahomes fawn fest.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And he got on Darnold and he got on he got on O'Connell too. Mm-hmm. First of all. What they have? Remember when we were going to have the balanced offense here, more runs, and whenever he gets in trouble, the run is gone, isn't it?
Yep. And Aaron Jones is hurt a lot. I mean, he got hurt again last night, or came out for a while last night.
Did he come out for? Yeah. Akers has given him a nice little lift. I mean, that guy runs hard, but. Yeah, Aaron Jones is great, but at times, when he's banged up, I mean, Packer fans, when we got him, I thought, boy, are they stupid letting him go. But this is what Packer fans expected, him to be beat up, and this Josh Jacobs they've had a full season out of him. Now they played their team and got beat by the Bears, so they have nothing to brag about. That's for sure.
That was a weird game. The Bears did everything they possibly could. They might be the stupidest team in football.
Oh God, they're unbelievable. They're just now they've already told us that they're going to get a new coach, right? I mean, they already fired Eberflus, and this guy's short term, so they're. I wonder who'll end up there. I wonder what they're looking for. What is wrong with people, by the way? Interviewing Ron Rivera and
the Jets. The Jets are interviewing everyone.
Yes, they're just even Rex Ryan, right?
Yes.
So Jets are interviewing. I love Rex, but Rex ain't the answer,
But it would be
come
fun.
in and just be.
But you gotta admit, it'd be great fun.
It'd be fun, but he'd be one and done. Did Jerry announce anything yet on McCarthy?
I think they're going to keep him. I think they might keep him.
Jerry doesn't like to participate in Black Monday either because it doesn't give him. If he fires his coach, it doesn't give him enough attention. If they're firing like 5 others, not that many got hacked today, though, right?
Doug Peterson's the
Doug
one
Peterson,
I've seen.
the only one, and Mayo yesterday.
I feel like we fire more guys in season than we used to.
Yes, that's true. It's like baseball does that too. More guys in season, but this, 85-year-old Robert Kraft told us that he was keeping Mayo 3 weeks ago, right? Assured him, and then he
walked in yesterday and canned him. And,
yes,
and he allowed him to win. He allowed Mayo to win a game that cost the Patriots, I think, the first pick.
Yes, yeah. Who'd they beat yesterday? I don't know.
Bills, right?
Oh, that's right, the Bills.
I mean, Bills didn't care. I think they started Mitch Trubisky. That's the thing is we get to this last week. The Kansas City Chiefs start Carson Wentz and looked like they couldn't beat anyone.
Yeah, you and I exchanged texts on this yesterday, though. The noon games, right?
Oh yeah,
they were awful.
Yes,
they were. The quality of play was terrible, and the penalties were endless. This one game, there had to be 25 or 30 of them in this one game. What's that official? I hate to say this, but I got to identify him. He's an African-American fellow, his crew. What's his name? They throw 30 flags a game. They're trying to out Hockley.
And Hockley, meanwhile, at his game was explaining everything in great detail, throwing as many flags as possible.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I liked the way the Viking game was officiated yesterday because they erred on the side of not throwing flags, but nobody does that. So anyway, the 12 o'clock games, terrible games, penalties left and right, but with 2 minutes left, you didn't know who was going to win 6 of them. That's the secret of success, right? I mean,
and the red zone. They're going to the quadruple box, and they're showing all these games have sucked.
Yeah, that's right. But we don't know who won. You're waiting to see who wins the last 2 minutes. So it's
that Bucks game that they eventually won was atrocious. They were awful.
The Bucks played terrible. Mayfield had a bad day, but I don't know. So. It's just the secret is now. Earlier this year, there were more blowouts, I thought, than there normally was. But last week of the season, you don't know who. Obviously, Chiefs play nobody and get beat 35-0 or something. But by the way, anyone who thought, Peyton might be a raving egomaniac and he might be overpaid, but hasn't taken him long to turn around Denver, has it? I mean, he's got them in the playoffs, and they were terrible when he got there. They were awful.
Yeah,
so,
well, Bo
I think
Nix,
he can coach.
Bo Nix, who I expected nothing from, is damn good.
Yeah, he's had some big games, and they're in the playoffs too. So, Does Buffalo have to play? Buffalo play them? Buffalo play Denver? I can't remember.
I have to look.
It's weird, though, isn't it? Like the schedule.
Yep.
The AFC games are the first 3, and the NFCs are the ones the network wants, and the networks want, and they're the second collection of 3. All the AFC without the Chiefs playing is definitely the B squad league as far as TV's concerned.
Yeah. Well, Chargers, Texans, Steelers at the Ravens. The Steelers are going to get destroyed. Then on Sunday, the first game on Sunday is Denver at Buffalo.
Yeah. What is it? The Steelers have lost 5 straight playoff games here, right? With Tomlin, and they've lost 4 straight.
And they've lost 4 straight. They look awful.
Yeah. Who's playing quarterback? Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Most of the time, huh?
Yeah, no, he's playing quarterback.
He's done. He's absolutely cooked.
And the sad thing is, if the Bengals hadn't gotten off to such a bad start, Joe Burrow and the Bengals would be in the playoffs, which would be a ton more fun.
Joe Burrow's had a hell of a year again. I mean, he got racked up early. I saw him yesterday. I watched it for 2 minutes. He got slaughtered. You thought he was not going to get up. He got up and came back. He's a tough kid, boy. Yeah. He's great too, but he's got do they still have like the worst practice? Have they build a practice facility there, or they still have the worst facilities?
I think they're still.
You
they might have a dome now, but I think they're still across the street.
It's still in the parking lot,
below
basically.
Bridge?
Below the bridge in
below
the stadium.
Freeway
They
bridge.
must have built something by now. But the Browns, Mike Brown is cheaper than his old man was when he ran the team. It's incredible how cheap they are. How about Zim being engaged? I thought maybe Zim and the gal broke up, but no, she hung in there down on the ranch, and they sent out a photo of Zim and the 42-year-old young lady, and they're gonna get married. And Zim might have a lot of free time here pretty soon.
I was going to say, do you think if McCarthy comes back, Zim comes back?
No, I don't. Do you? McCarthy can't be too happy with the job he did on defense. Can he? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
They don't have any great long-term relationship or anything, do they?
No.
No.
In
fact,
I think he's Jerry's guy, which is the reason why he might stick around.
Yeah, that's
if
right.
Jerry wants him around.
He might be Jerry's guy. In fact,
Zim, I think I might just go home.
He must love it, though. He must.
You got the ranch, you got the new wife, you got the money
I know,
in the bank.
He does. He got all those things, but some people need it, man.
I know.
I'm never one to tell a guy he's too old to do what he wants to do. So I'm not the guy to do that.
Especially since you threatened to retire in 2016.
Yes, when was that? That was a long time
Ryder
ago.
Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
For years you announced that the Ryder Cup would be your last event.
And I didn't tell you, there's another one in 2028, I think, isn't there?
So we are now closer to the next Ryder Cup than we were to the one you were going to retire after.
We're the one, yeah. Well, the Star Tribune has been retiring a few people who didn't want to be, so we'll see how that works out. I did not know that. I haven't, Lilacs and who else? Oh, Kurt Brown was. They've stopped doing Kurt Brown's. We didn't want that readable stuff on what's happened in the past. Plus, it was great.
Oh, God, yeah. Great writer.
Great old stuff from Minnesota history that you hadn't read about. Goodbye,
Kurt's a fantastic writer.
Yes, he is. He's he and the wife took the family out to Colorado, though, years ago, and I think he keeps inviting me. He said, come on out. Well, you might like sitting in the mountains doing nothing. I don't have. What am I going to do? Go out and...
I'm with you.
I can't even go out in the deck and smoke a cigarette. I don't smoke. What would I do? Go out and, load up the Diet Coke, and I'll look at the vista, and then I'll go in the house and watch television.
What's on TV? What games are on?
That's exactly right. So, in other local news... How about our Timberwolves? They managed to lose with Ant getting. They managed not only to lose, but really never being in the game with Ant getting 53. I didn't watch much of it, but how'd that happen?
Have you ever heard of a game where a player scores 53 points and declines to talk postgame?
Well, he probably was afraid he was going to swear and get fined. Now he'll probably get fined. I don't think, though, if you don't talk in the locker room, you can't get fined for that, right? It's got to be.
I don't know what their rules
if
are.
you decline to come out, but they do fine people, but they're out to get him.
Because he was also pissed off because the rest of the starters scored 14 points.
Yes, and apparently they weren't real happy with him because he never made a pass. He just kept. He must have decided it was hopeless to make a pass.
Man,
but Finchie's got to do something with his starting lineup. He's got to shake things up here. But
he keeps doubling down.
Well, and he might be doubling down because of Connolly. Who knows? I said this earlier, but all those people who were deathly afraid that if Glenn Taylor won his dispute with A-Rod and Laurie, that we would lose Tim Connolly, I don't think they're in quite as much of a panic now, are they? Are they? I don't know. They got to do something, though. They got to get some shooters on the court. They don't have any shooters except for Ant. And
McDaniels is a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Conley, to your point, looks cooked.
The trouble with McDaniels is if you would elect not to start him, he would. He's got a pouting problem a sulking problem the way it is.
Yes.
And Randall, I don't know. Do you think they're just going to play him and try to move him at the trading deadline?
That's my guess.
Because they gotta get Nas in with the first team. Somebody who can score. They got to get somebody who can score. Even Minot, somebody. I don't know what.
This might sound dumb too, but this might be the most joyless collection of players I've ever seen. The starting five, they're all in their own way brooding, except for Conley, who keeps trying to smile through it like Conley a wife who's in a terrible marriage.
Conley's trying to be the leader again.
Yeah.
But when he was a leader last year, he was playing pretty good.
Yes.
It's hard to be a leader when you're terrible.
Yes. We talked about that before.
Yes, yeah. You
can't lead when you're not good.
You can't lead when you aren't, That was like Gus the Bus trying to be a leader last season when he was letting in 12 goals a game. I don't know, but it is, 2004, they made the Western Conference Finals, and in January, Flip got fired the next year, right? But I think they were, 25 and 26. 25 and 26, somebody told me. I talked about that. When Flip got fired.
Okay.
They might not be 25 and 26 this year. They might be worse than that. They're not good.
And I don't want this guy, in my opinion, Finch should be left alone. I'd like to see him adjust the lineup, but I think their problems go way beyond something Finch is just doing wrong.
Oh, God, yes. I think Finch I don't have any problem with him. It's just he got a bad mix here. And it doesn't help that Cat is playing like a maniac in New York. You put him back inside. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You got to go back. You want to know why Cat's not here? Because Gobert's here. That's why Cat's not here. So correct. You want to go back to the original trade. We thought that they made it work, and they got to the Western Conference Finals, okay. But they didn't really make it work. When you see Cat now playing for the Knicks, it didn't work because you're not getting that player. You got some other player who was, playing at a power forward and not having the ball, and he's playing like a madman now. It's incredible. I watched him the other night. He had 30 and 22 rebounds or something. It was against a bad team, but he's driving to the basket. He's, and he's down low. He's playing down low. When he shoots the three now, it's like trailing the play, which is what he used to do.
Right.
He's a great trail the play 3-point shooter, but he's not out there looking for the shot because he's got Brunson and all those other guys. Yeah. So,
well,
but let's face it, they're the Wolves. We shouldn't be surprised, should we? They're the Wolves. The surprise is they were good.
You were hoping that would
that
would somehow have turned things around.
That's the surprise. The surprise is they were good. They're the Wolves.
I think part of the problem here too is this. It goes back to what you talked about when Butler, who now is trying to force his way off the Heat, but when Butler was unhappy here, I think part of the problem is Julius's contract. He's got that option after this year, and it looks like he is bound and determined to prove he should get his next contract.
Yes,
that's why I think it's all pear-shaped. It's all gone sideways.
But I think if you're them, obviously you got to get something for him or try to get something for him, but you want him to opt out. You're not bringing him back. He's not good with this mess.
That's what I'm saying is I think that's part of the problem. I think he knows that.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think
Julius knows that, too?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I think he knows that,
He's
He's
a non-volatile. He's in the same situation as Butler.
Yes.
Everybody, what was wrong with Butler? He didn't get paid.
And it's the same thing
What's
now.
wrong with him in Miami? He's got $50 million for next year, but they won't extend him beyond that. He's 35.
And his joy has been taken away.
Yeah, his joy has been taken away.
I don't think I can find my joy here.
My joy is a 2-year extension for $53 million a year. I think though.
Oh God.
I think, can you see Tibbs sneaking up next to Cat and say, "What do you think of bringing Jimmy back?" What do you think of bringing Jimmy here? Cat,
I don't even think Tibbs could do that.
I don't think Tibbs could do that. But I think one thing you hate about the NBA, but you also like, is there's more lunatics than any other place. By the way, did you see who's agreed to play for the Clippers tonight? He played last game. He's going to play tonight.
Kawhi.
Kawhi's agreed to play.
I think I'm going
that's
just to see
good.
Kawhi.
Yeah, well.
It's like a Bigfoot sighting.
Yes, it is.
Get a grainy picture of him.
One of the greatest players of the last 10 years, except he's only played 3 of them.
Well, like you said, he's agreed to. He agrees
to play. He can come up. He's the biggest fraud ever. The Spurs weren't giving him the contract he wanted, so he refused to play for Popovich.
Yes.
And then he goes to Toronto and wins the championship, and then he gets the huge contract and stops playing again. There's no other league like it. It's unbelievable. It's how crazy they are. And the teams are crazy. You know who's playing pretty good and not pouting as much as normal? James Harden is.
He's like shut up.
He's kind of trying because he always wanted the next contract. You know, he always wanted.
It's always the problem.
I mean, Jimmy, how much has Jimmy made? $500,000? Half a billion.
He's 35 and he's not available that much. That's the thing is, why are you paying guys that don't play that much?
I don't know. Well, Paul George, Philadelphia, they already got Embiid, who misses half the season. And their big acquisition is Paul George, who's 36 or something and never plays either. I don't get it. I do not get why they pay these fossils these incredible amounts of money. I do not get it. So anyway, but it's they're back to 500, right? 17-17, right? Yep. 17-17.
And we're into January now, so it's not a bad start.
They're not trading Finchie. They're not firing Finchie. Okay, I don't. Although I suppose if they thought they could get a little boost, they could give the job to Norrie for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but that's
not
going
to do anything.
Thing. No.
Yeah, it's not going to do any good. So, anyway.
When do we find out who owns the team?
I was going to say that should be in a couple of weeks at the latest, right? Should be pretty soon.
Would hope so. It'd be nice to get some clarity.
Yes, and then they can if it's Laurie and A-Rod, then they can wait a week and then start talking about the new ballpark, right? The new arena.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but if they get it for what they're paying, 1.5. There shouldn't be any reason for them to throw $1 billion in the pot for a new arena, right? Because they got it so cheap. Because they turn around and they get it that cheap, they can turn around and pay for their own arena. That'll be terrific. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to Vegas and they're not going to Seattle unless they want to pay their partners the expansion fee money of $5 million extra or $5 billion extra or something. So. That's
what's the site now? It's behind Target
down by Field? It's the farmers market site that they were going to put the soccer stadium in until Bike Lane Betsy turned them down and they ended up coming to St. Paul.
Okay.
So remember that? They were going to put it down there where the farmers market is.
Yeah.
Which seems like a bad location to me. Where are you going to park?
That's my question.
I guess, I guess ramp A and walk down, but that ramp A can't take the whole crowd. I don't know.
No, and I don't want to walk down from ramp A. It's $20 to park there.
Oh,
I want the Skyway. For $20, I want the Skyway.
$20, I want the Skyway.
I'm not going outside.
It's where did I see? What event was I going? Was it the Viking game last week? I went with you, but we were what? They're 50, $60 all around within 4 or 5 blocks, 6, 7
Oh,
blocks,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
I think
There'll be more next year.
way down by Hennepin, they were trying to get $50 or something. So it's expensive to go.
Football is parking for football is the worst.
Yes. Well, anyhow, it's we got that going. The Timberwolves in the tank. Meanwhile, 4-0 against the Hurricanes without Kaprizov. I brought this premise up to someone. Is Eck just as important to them as Kaprizov? Considering his defense, considering he wins a face-off, considering he gets goals.
Yeah, he's pretty damn important. I wouldn't say he's as important as Kaprizov. I mean, Kaprizov's a superstar, and he's the only. I mean, they played two really good games. They beat Washington, which is at a really good season, and then Carolina, which is really really good. But they won those games without Kaprizov, Spurgeon, and Middleton. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
John Hines deserves a lot of credit.
Hines must be pretty good now.
Yep.
Now, Heinze will make it through this year, probably have a good year, and next year he'll probably make it through. But, when we fire him in 2026, 27, remember these good times that he had. Don't just...
don't worry. He'll get a job a half hour after he gets fired.
I know, and...
he'll get the Blackhawks
who knows?
job.
It could be Dean. Dean could come back by then. He'll have been 2 other places, and it's not unprecedented for an NHL coach to come back. As I said when I was writing about Lavalette and Torts, my favorite thing, and Lavalette.
I gotta look at it. Yep.
Replaced Paul Maurice in Carolina, won a cup, and a couple years later got fired and was replaced by Paul Maurice.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite moments in why do you think that is? Why do you think the NHL is there's 40 coaches there's a pot of 40 coaches and all coaches are chosen from there. It's incredible.
And the willingness with which they fire them is remarkable.
Now there's rumors they might expand again here. They might try to
it's been out there for a while.
Now that they got Phoenix moved, but they're in all the good markets. So where do they want to go?
So they would give an expansion team to Phoenix again, and they also are talking about suburban Atlanta out by where the Braves play.
Try Atlanta again.
They now think Atlanta
might work if you get them out. If you get them out, it was
because the Braves are out in the burbs, right?
Sure, yeah. The Braves are, the Braves. Let me put it this way: the Braves didn't want to be near a soul food restaurant. Okay, back in the downtown, the Braves would. It was a very racially motivated move by the Braves, and they created their own town out there, right?
Yes, and I think that's what they want. The new. I think they'd like to put a new hockey team out there, right by.
So where's the basketball team still attached to the Turner Center, right? Yeah.
Yep. And that's where the hockey team, the Thrashers, played.
Who owns them? The Turner,
the Hawks.
The Hawks. Do
no,
they? I mean, not Turner doesn't, but I wonder if the people that bought
Time Warner?
Turner or Time Warner, I don't know who owns them.
I don't think so.
No. They that is a terrible sports town. But now that they're out in the suburbs, it's the Braves are drawn like crazy. They're good.
Tony Ressler, billionaire businessman, owns the Atlanta Hawks.
You don't find many owners of sports teams anymore who don't have billionaire in their title.
I think you have to be now. Yeah,
yes,
I think
for
you have
damn near everything.
Many times over in some cases.
Are you? I'm sure you and Phil have discussed this. Is this the worst, most uninvolved offseason of the Twins in history, of doing nothing, making no news, trying to pretty much trying to stay invisible. Are they even going to have a caravan? Do we know?
I have no idea.
Do we have one? I mean, they are. Joe Pollard, I guess, did give an interview to somebody. I don't know about.
Oh, he did?
Kleeman or so. I don't know who it was. Maybe not. Maybe it was an old one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
But it's unbelievable.
I know
how they're just. I'd hate to be out there trying to get season tickets renewed. I'll tell you that.
Well, or how about eventually trying to sell this TV platform that they're going to try to sell?
Yes, they're doing nothing with that. They haven't. We don't even know what it is yet, right? I mean, how do you? Do we know? Can you buy it now?
No,
can you buy
yet.
it? No, it's not available yet.
No
right?
price is set. It's coming at some point, probably. I would think this month, but we know we don't know the details. But again, if they try and sell it, who's going to buy it right now?
The TV? Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
tickets, the TV, all of it. Who's going to buy it right now?
Have they added a major league player? I don't think so, right? But they're all minor league guys, right? That they've acquired.
They just signed that guy who was in Japan, the first baseman. It was a Mike Ford, who had been with the Reds.
Yeah, but he's a
minor leaguer.
He's a minor leaguer. Yeah,
But that's your first baseman. That's your competition.
Either him or Julian or Miranda. They can't play third and they can't play second. Let's put them at first where they get to field the ball all the time. I don't know. I think among all things, Dave St. Peter, I'm sure for family reasons and maybe strain of the job, is giving up the presidency. But I think he must have known what was coming too, right? They must have told them, don't spend any. We're not spending any money on anything. So, God, it's just brutal. It's unbelievable because the people are so irritated at him, and now they just went into hiding. It's Falvey hasn't taken over yet, right, as president either.
No, I think Dave is still the business operator. I think Dave still controls the business side of things.
The Twins Fest is going to be when is that? A couple of weeks? I don't know when that is.
End of January, right?
Although they figured out Twins Fest, a couple 3 years ago, they made it Friday for ticket holders or season ticket holders, and then Saturday for a few hours, and that's it.
And that's
at the ballpark, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the 3-day festival
No.
it once was.
No, that's for sure. It is. It's amazing how things changed in 1 year, isn't it? This was about another month before Joe announced we were going to right size, right?
Yes.
Was it sometime in February last year?
Beginning of March, maybe?
Okay.
Or February, yes.
Wow.
I think spring training had started.
Mm-hmm. They have, I guess I wrote this a month ago or so. I think this is the first time they securely, since the Wild came to town, they securely took the number 4 spot among major league sports teams, men's major league sports teams in town, right? They're the early 80s were bad. There's no doubt about it. But this is ridiculous, to say the least. And it sure seems like they're going to trade Pablo, too, doesn't it?
That's gaining momentum, it feels like.
Yes. It's.
Well, I guess they've been told, not surprisingly, the payroll will be $130 million. Mm-hmm. It's at 136 right now, and there is no room. Like that's not doable. So they're going to have to do something to get it down.
Yeah, and
what do you get for Pablo? And if you trade Pablo, like if that's the move, how do you run the business?
I don't know. I mean, but Pablo's probably saying, "Get me the hell out of here." You know.
What's Correa saying?
I want to go pitch it, huh?
What's Correa saying? Like,
yes.
Does Correa just not care?
That's. Would anybody take him?
No,
if you trade Pablo, if you trade Pablo, Correa's going to play 80 games.
Yeah.
he's gonna if the foot hurts, he's gonna take a week off. You know, it's
well, and I don't blame him at that point.
I would rather no. I mean, he's great, but there's no way he wants to be here. Yeah,
that's right.
So who's gonna take him though? If you trade him, you might end up having to pay part of it, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think if he went to a contender, I think he might be moved to third base because of his foot.
Yeah. Although he's
he's a marvelous shortstop, but
yeah, he's a great
takes
shortstop.
a pounding on the foot.
So who's looking? Who's looking for another infielder? I don't know who is right now.
Are the Yankees still? Although I guess
the Yankees are signing a bunch of guys.
And Boris's relationship with the Yankees, I guess now, Scott Boris's, is terrible.
Because of Soto?
Because of Soto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's put that in the crapper.
Yeah. Well, because what was the deal? I love the story about Soto. The money was the same, but the Mets gave him a suite, and the Yankees won.
Family. Well, the Yankees said, "Yeah, we'll give you one, but you're going to pay for it." Because I guess they charged Jeter for his suite.
Yes, they did, and it's a team policy. You're giving the guy $700 million. What do you end up getting? $790.
Yeah.
Because Scott's whole thing was, we got to get more than Ohtani got, even if it's 5 more years on the contract.
The best was the Yankee Stadium usher who didn't treat Soto's parents with the respect they so richly deserved.
Yes. As I said, those ushers would say they can be tough at Yankee Stadium, man. You can, but I've seen them. I've seen them not really do their duty, too. I mean, I remember before a World Series game. Now, this was in the previous stadium, but we were still an hour away from the opening pitch, and there were guys in the men's room peeing in the sink. So I think that we should have some staff saying, we'd like it if you didn't do that. You know, if you were not urinating.
It's New York.
If you were not urinating, we would like it. Well, if you would have said something, they would have urinated on you.
Exactly.
So, but we're an hour from opening pitch. Now, that's when all World Series games were starting at 8:30 in New York.
And these people were tuned up.
They were drunk, and they were... And they had to go to the bathroom, and there wasn't too long a line. Damn it!
I love that place. It was just it was a freak show, but I loved it.
My brother-in-law Chaz, who's a great guy, big baseball fan, now retired as an accountant with a big firm in town, a partner, and but he was in town and wanted to get to a World Series game. And I got him a ticket in the right field bleachers.
Oh, I sat out there a couple of times.
And he said it was both the greatest and most frightening experience of his sports. Because first of all, he went to his seat and they said, "You're not sitting there. You're sitting over here. You go sit over there. We're all sitting here."
Yes.
And then he said that it's probably not as bad in the new stadium as it was, right?
No, it's been cleaned up way too much. Not nearly as much fun.
The right field. I think he left, he said, in the 8th inning because he had this pounding headache and he was being harassed unmercifully, but in a comical, fantastic way. And this was during their...
They're the greatest.
I think this was like the late... when they were winning their 3 in a row, or right after they were winning, that period when they were in 4 straight World Series.
They finally stopped serving beer in right field at some point in the 2000s. I know that.
Okay, yeah. When were you? You were out there more than once?
I was. The first time I was there was 98 afternoon makeup game against KC. Ooh. And so it was just
not quite as crowded as all.
No, but the hardcores.
Okay.
The hardcores.
Oh, the hardcores.
And they're nuts. They're the crowd that does the salute thing. So, Derek Jeter till he waves his cap.
Yeah,
those are those fans. They are. They were certifiable, but they were fantastic. I loved them.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think he's described it as one of the greatest sports experiences of his life, but not sure he wanted to repeat it.
You'd have people sitting in random seats talking to themselves. carrying on conversations, no one around them. Like, it was just an experience.
Yes. Now it's probably so damn expensive that it's hard for the reprobates to get in there, I would think.
It's way more corporate now. It's not nearly as much
it is.
fun.
But it was, well, I was, my first 2 years on the beach, 74, 75, they played at Shake, so they were building the second one.
Yep.
And then, when's this one's, I don't think I've been to this one, the new one. What is it, 15, maybe 14, 15? When was it?
Let me look it up. I think
they built it next door, right? So they didn't have to
it's just right
tear
across
down
the
the
street.
other one.
Yep.
And they must have already torn down the old one then, huh?
Yeah, that's I think a little league field in the park now.
Oh, okay, and then they have some history things there or something. So,
but yes, it's across the street.
Yeah, whoever built it was an idiot with the right field, making the right field like it is. And once you build it, there's nothing you can do about it. You got those pop fly home runs.
And is that a nod to the old ballpark? Is that?
Yeah,
what
but the old ballpark moved out to right center more rapidly. It was always down the line, cheap, but way right down the line, and then it went out more.
Okay.
Rapidly. Now it stays straight for the way you look at it. The pop flies are home runs. It's
2009.
ridiculous.
2009.
Hey, you told me this. Do we know what the Orioles are doing now? They're moving it back in?
It's coming back in, but not to where it was.
But
closer.
what are they going to? But it's still going to run up to that side wall.
I don't.
Again?
This is what I want to know. One of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
Are they going to curve it? Well, I'm shocked that nobody's gotten killed. Yes. Running to catch, because it's just a wall. It goes like this, straight. I haven't been there. I got to get there. I got to go.
I've never seen that before. So the wall just runs out.
Yeah, and then it was. We want it. We don't want all those cheap home runs because we paid Chris Davis too much money for hitting pop flies, but let's do it as cheaply as we possibly can. It's fantastic, to say the least.
I love that ballpark, but that was a atrocious move.
Yes. Hey, who gave Burns 200 and some million? Where did he go?
Diamondbacks.
The pitcher. Diamondbacks.
Yes. Snell went from the Giants to the Dodgers. Burns went from the Orioles, who, by the way, have not spent much. People are very upset.
Yes, new owners too. They're not the Angeleses, and they're yes they.
I did see a note in the last couple of days, though. The Marlins, off-season spending, 0.
So they're tied with the Twins.
Well, I think the Twins have actually at least spent.
Yeah, but all major league guys, though. They haven't spent.
Yes.
Yeah. So 0? Yeah, that Sherman guy's supposed to be a bad guy, Bad. I mean, he and Jeter, he was Jeter's guy, and he ran Jeter out of there because Jeter wanted to spend $50. It's that's. I mean, 2 years ago, Kim Ng had him in the playoffs, right? And they fired her for no reason because she probably wanted to spend some money.
Yeah. Well, they brought in a supervisor for her, which is the guy from the Rays,
right.
who's a complete dweeb. Yes. Couldn't believe that guy was in charge, and she said, "I'll see you later. Bye."
Did you ever hear the guy who's running the Blue Jays now, the baseball guy, who never talks to them? I mean, they had Pat Gillick, for God's sakes. Yeah. Was one of the smartest, greatest guys ever. This guy, Falvey, is a insight provider compared to this guy. It's unbelievable, the cliches. And I read something like he had his first in August or sometime. He had his first media access in 2 months. He doesn't talk to anybody. Where do they find these idiots?
Do we buy that the last 2 years the Blue Jays have been in on all of the players that they claim? They supposedly were in on Ohtani, and then they were in on Soto. Is this real, or is this just like the Twins? Hey, we were all in until the last second.
Shaughnessy had a great column in Boston a week ago that the The Red Sox are the kings of interest.
We got to be.
We're interest. We're the kings of interest for minor things. But the Red Sox they were interested in Soto. They were interested in Burns. They were interested in, they were interested, but they didn't get any of them. But they're the kings of interest,
That's where we need Sid's jottings back.
Yes.
The jottings were the greatest for the amount of people that you inquired about, but didn't obtain in trade or sign as free agents.
The Twins have I kind of wrote about this a month ago, that they're making calls. They're making calls about the pitcher from Japan. Well, let's see. The pitcher you can pay the guy from Japan, Sasaki, more than anybody because of your international money. But he's got a choice between you or going to the Dodgers, where there are two Japanese fellow countrymen making making more than $1 billion. Where do you think he's going to go? And he'll just wait. He'll pitch good until he gets to the point where they can pay him $300 million too, if he's any good. So,
yeah,
God, we're making some calls.
But you're right. You're exactly right. This is awful. Like this is at
awful.
Least when you're leaking stuff out, it's somewhat intriguing. They're not even bothering to leak things out.
No,
anymore.
they're not. It's
like
Bobby, we got Nightingale and Phil Miller, two great reporters. Gleeman and Dan Hayes do a good job. We got Betsy over in St. Paul. Nobody's got anything to write about the team. When Nightingale
wrote 15 inches on the guy from Japan that came back here.
Yes,
because there's nothing to write about.
Yeah, it's and he went to the winter meetings too, and this was what I was writing. This was what I was writing when Calvin was, the Rule 5 guys and stuff. Of course, the problem then was I was hungover as hell when I was writing it at the winter meetings back then. Bobby's at the top of his game trying to come up. We were just looking for crap to write so we could go out drinking.
You sound like more fun.
Yeah, right. But Bobby's at the top of his game trying to get something out there, and there's nothing to be had, man.
Nope.
Anyway.
Hey, before you go, sell me a car.
Oh, man. You know what I've been trying to sell, don't you? For the kids, your children or your grandchildren who are turning 16. I have one of those. The Buick Encore. Fantastic prices at Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers. It's the smallest SUV. You can get great used ones with low mileage, or you can get brand new ones, and the prices are unbelievable. This small SUV, I look at the stock. They have plenty of them. And Jim Paul, Brett Paul, Valley Group of GM dealers, Apple Valley, and Hastings. Low interest rates, almost zero, 0.9, 1.9, and factory rebates. It's a great time to buy a car. New year, we got to clean out the showrooms and the lot and get the new vehicles in. So this is the time. Go look at those SUVs. They got 4 different varieties of SUVs. And you can get the various sizes, but the Encore, the small one, would be great for the grandkids or the kids who's turning 16. Jim Paul and Brett Paul's Valley Group of GM dealers, Apple Valley and Hastings. Check them out.
Awesome. We will talk to you for more on Chain tomorrow.
All right. Go Vikes.